You're watching Fox 9 News.
For most of those living in a homeless camp near downtown Minneapolis, temporary housing is still more than a month away, with winter closing in fast. Sources in the Minneapolis police and fire departments have told us they're very concerned about the safety of those in Tent City and believe resources may not be getting to those most in need. That was also the concern of a woman named Pamela Rivera, who spent her final days speaking out about conditions in the camp. In just a few months, the tent city for the homeless along Hiawatha Avenue has taken on a life of its own, making it impossible to ignore what's long been hiding in plain sight.
They slow down, they record, and it makes us feel like zoo animals.
Tony Gran has been here since relapsing in a sober house. A trained medic, he's given Narcan to more than a dozen people who have overdosed on heroin at the camp, including the 3 who have died. Did you know Pamela Rivera?
I tried to revive her.
You tried to revive her?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I have. That one was tough.
My name is Pamela Rivera. We're a homeless native camp.
This was Pamela Rivera in August, back when there were just a dozen tents along a retaining wall off of Hiawatha Avenue. There are now more than 200. Behind the camera, and often in front of it, Lydia Marie.
You guys can see it's cold, it's real, it's cold and it's real, it's cold and it's very real out here.
Friends call her a modern-day Joan of Arc, a one-woman relief organization. Months ago, Lydia began delivering supplies to the homeless here, telling their stories on Facebook Live to thousands. Along the way, developing a friendship with Pamela Rivera, a 52-year-old mother of 8.
What she was telling me is that oftentimes they were not being told when like coats were being brought down or when meals were being prepared.
They distribute to their families and friends.
Rivera told her the group running the camp, Natives Against Heroin, or NA, was playing favorites.
So who's been out here lately, other than NA?
That's it. They're the ones taking all the donations and giving them to the people that live down that way. They don't care about none of us living down this way. They don't even tell us if there's any donations.
We were also just talking to some people down at the other end. There seems to be a division there. The people that are at one end, who were the first people here, and then there were the newcomers along the way. And we heard some people say that they just don't believe the resources are getting down to the other end along the wall where all this started. Do you believe there's a power play going on over at the camp?
Yes, I do. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. So you guys didn't get anything from NA down there?
No, they treat me a certain type of way. I'm not gonna lie to you. No kick, no.
I understand. Take
God
that blanket,
bless you.
brother, for you and your woman. As you guys heard, there's a little bit of division, and you know we don't want no problems. But there's definitely got to be fairness. So we're out here advocating for the wall, which is the original 13 tents. Oh, don't cry, honey. Oh, don't cry, Pam. Don't cry, honey.
And then a few weeks ago, Pamela Rivera hit rock bottom.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The story she told was rambling and heartbreaking. Her husband had gone on a drinking binge.
Mom, she can't take it. She went back to drinking.
She wasn't getting food.
I'm 52. I can't walk down there every day.
And she was on 3 different waiting lists for housing.
I've seen people that already just walked in like 2 days ago and they're moving into a place.
So you think there's preferential things going on, huh?
And I heard under the table is that because we're seeing that me and Kat are seeing, what's really going on.
Lydia told her she'd help, but also sensed that Pamela could be putting herself in danger by talking about the troubles in Tent City so openly.
When I tried to get her to stop talking, I would have turned off the camera. I wish I would have just turned off the camera.
When Lydia came back the next morning, she discovered Pamela had died in the middle of the night from what appeared to be a fatal heroin overdose.
When they say the streets are talking, rumor has it that she was given a bad hit. She was given some laced up form of bad dope that killed her.
There's very few individuals in here that come through that they're making profits off of this place.
Who is?
The drug dealers.
All the drug dealers are gone from here from now on.
After her death, Natives Against Heroin posted their own video on Facebook showing them kicking out a couple of suspected heroin dealers and tearing down their tents.
I can't do it all, but we're out here for the people. We do our best. We make sure that the people are safe. If we left today, just imagine what this would be. Just imagine it would have been the weak controlling, the strong controlling the weak.
James Cross is the leader of Natives Against Heroin. He says the group is stepping in to fill a vacuum others won't, and denies the claims of favoritism.
But Nas out here for everybody. As you see, look at those tables. There ain't nothing out here. Everything's lined up on the table. Everybody can come look at the sandwiches. Everything's here for everybody. We don't want nothing. We just control, and they don't like control. And that's why some of them are out here, because they don't like people having structure.
But we heard the same thing from a half dozen others at the camp, many who refused to go on camera.
You know, you don't obey, you don't get that nice jacket. You don't obey, you don't get those shoes. You don't obey, I'm going to shut you down.
And heroin is not the only problem in Tent City. So is prostitution.
You want a protection, it's not free. You're going to have to give up something. And you ain't got no money because you can't keep up with your habit that way. So you're going to basically have to sell yourself out.
So there is prostitution going on in exchange for heroin or other drugs.
Yep.
And it's happening in a camp where you will still find young children. From coast to coast, cities are struggling with these homeless camps. In Oakland, California, fire has become a major concern, and that's a concern here as well. The city's plan for a temporary shelter a few blocks away is still weeks off, and winter is just a drumbeat away.
Maybe she was a drug addict, but she was a human person.
For some in Tent City, Pamela Rivera has become a symbol of how a camp that once offered a kind of protection in numbers may have made the addicted and the desperate all the more vulnerable, the powerful and the weak living side by side. Lydia Marie tells us she received threats today from some in the camp, warning her not to speak out against Na. At this point, Minneapolis police say they have no reason to consider Pamela Rivera's death suspicious. The medical examiner is waiting for a toxicology report before issuing a final cause of death. For the Fox 9 investigators, I'm Tom Lydon.